Okay.
All right, okay. I want to call the meeting in order. Roll call. Everybody is here except for Lisa. So we got 5 out of 6.
Right, so you got Lord Lancaster, Saucedo, Scott Logan, Rosa, Lorena, John Lavallee, and then,
Up. Wow, good. All right, Lori's here. So we're
Lisa just
or Lisa's here.
arrived. So,
It's close, it's snow.
Keep doing that.
so this meeting's for the special, meeting first.
Special meeting first, so we can, because now we'll have a quorum, and we can officially approve the minutes.
Yep, so you have quorum.
To approve the minutes of February 18th as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Motion passes.
Was there any public comment? Just make sure, even though there's nobody here.
Move to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay. All right, moving on to the actual meeting for tonight. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, everybody is present.
Quorum?
We have a quorum. Public comments? None? Great. Discussion regarding the bathrooms at Lions Park. Whose is this?
This issue is about the fact that Lions Park bathrooms aren't open until after the weather is stays above 50 degrees, because we don't want to risk freezing any pipes. So, however, the softball always starts before that period happens, so we still aren't quite there yet in terms of temperature. But we're pretty close to being on the cusp. So I think this discussion point was about what solutions can we employ for those who are playing softball out at Lions Park, at Lions Park, yes, at the Hers Fields, when there's no bathrooms.
And when do they typically start?
End of March?
March, April, yeah, early April.
Like baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mid-March.
I mean, would they, you always throw a couple of porta potties in there if they'll pay for them.
Well, that could be the solution is order porta potties and then back charge the organizations that are using them.
I believe the water's on there now, though, correct, Mayor? Because I use the bathrooms, so,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, all the, excuse me, all the bathrooms, the water's on, they have been cleaned, I'm pretty sure. And we're working on installing paper towel, soap dispensers, toilet paper dispensers, and all of that. So they are all usable. As of right now, we're not unlocking all of them. We're unlocking the Milky Way Park bathrooms, the Lions Park bathroom that's on the pool house, and Northfield.
I know that the Hers bathrooms have been open for at least 3 weeks, I believe, because I was there when they were turning on the water. Prior, so what would happen is the Hers organization had keys to those bathrooms. Once those bathrooms were on, we would lock them and open them as needed. I just don't know for like the high school, when they play up there, I don't know how
well,
they.
so my understanding was in those early weeks, they would have a key to use the bathroom at the pool house.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Not the bathrooms. But the complaint is that they have to walk across the parking lot to do that. And so the only real solution during that early part of the season would be to get porta potties. Or the parks consider heating the bathrooms. I mean, that's the other solution. But they're unheated, so really don't want to risk damaging the plumbing, and now you've
There's no
got,
provision for heat in there.
I don't believe so. I mean, it's not insulated, it's not, it's not designed to be heated space.
I mean, if the pool bathroom's open, that's your option, and it's always an option. We used to use it all the time. If they want to get a porta potty, they can. I mean,
So I guess the question here is, do you want the Parks Department to get the porta potty and then back charge? Or do you want the organizations which are utilizing the fields to directly, call for that service?
I'd rather see the organization do it, because if we do it and we haven't gotten it approved by them, they're gonna say, no, we didn't ask for this.
Well, we'd have to get it approved by them first.
And we are giving them the option of using the
The pool
bathroom
bathroom,
in the
yeah.
pool.
I mean, we're providing them a bathroom.
Yeah.
yes.
So
Granted,
if they
it's not the
want
most convenient, and you're
something
only
that's
talking a
right
couple of
there,
weeks.
yeah, then they can get a porta potty.
Literally a couple weeks, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually about a month, about a month. From season to season, I mean, one year it might be warmer sooner. This year seems to be a little bit cooler longer. Although we have had some really high temperatures, but they've followed immediately by, 30 degree nights. So you're right at that cusp. So, sounds like direction is in the future that we would open the bathrooms at the pool house, which is what we've always done. And if those organizations want a porta potty, then they could contract and have it delivered.
Are they having games yet? Or are these just
No.
practices?
Just practice.
They've had games.
So I don't know.
Oh, the high school, yes, not the HERS League, yeah.
The high school. That's where the biggest complaint came from, was the fact that they had games and there was no bathroom.
I think, yeah, I would be more comfortable, I don't know if we want, because the public's going to be, I mean, everybody, right, is going to the pool house, right? I'd be more comfortable setting up 2 porta potties or 4 porta potties or whatever. 2 women, 2 men.
During the high school games, is that bathroom open at the pool house? Is that available? During the softball games, high school level?
Well, that's what we're saying, is that that's the only other solution you have available.
It's open, right, for them?
Yes.
I mean, it's, you got to go in the building and then go to, right?
No, it's outside.
You gotta walk over the parking lot, but there's an exterior door
Oh, to
that
the
is
bathroom?
just past the
Oh, okay.
entrance to the
Oh,
pool
okay.
house.
All right, well, all right, yeah, I would, that's your option. Either that or bring in porta potty.
Well, other high schools do have porta potties at the girls softball fields. That's just kind of standard, really. It's a porta potty.
Yeah, or there's a hike.
Yep. Or
I
there's a
mean,
hike.
because
Yep.
there's one bathroom, there's not a bathroom by every field, and some of those
Yep.
have lots of fields.
I think as long as we give them the option to use that pool house bathroom, I'm okay with that. If they want a porta potty, they can reach out to the people and get it.
Okay, I think then, Stacy, the answer, we open the pool house, and then if those leagues, if the high school wants more, options, then they're free to hire a porta contract that themselves.
Next on the agenda is to discuss possible compensation for volunteer park board members. Scott, this is yours.
I asked for this to be on the agenda in part because this is my last meeting on the Parks Board. Council members, alderpersons receive $25 per committee meeting. Non-elected members, currently me and Pep, don't.
But there is an ordinance that permits that.
Well, yeah, you had I don't know if it's in here.
We can pull
It's-
it up.
it's-
That was
the
specifically
choice
for the
of the-
events committee.
No, it also says
Yeah.
parks.
Oh, did it? All right,
Yes.
then I missed
It's the
that.
choice of the volunteer
Okay.
members.
Well,
Like, yeah, so,
I can tell you, nobody mentioned it to me. Did anybody ever mention it to you?
I had a discussion with the mayor, and we did discuss this when I first came on, and I told him that I didn't want any
Okay.
compensation for the meetings.
Then I guess my request then would be that in the future, say at the first meeting, the May meeting, that this be brought up so that, or when you get a new
Chapter 20.
non-elected member to the Parks Board, that it be brought up that it is an option.
So it's automatically an option, not, there's no,
So-
you can say no. It's automatically an option, so I mean, every board we have, the tree board, the, you know,
I think it's
All the
only
boards.
specifically listed for the events committee, which is no longer, and the parks.
is
I
what
didn't
the
catch that
ordinance
it was
is.
events and parks.
I just gotta find it, sorry.
It's in the packet for tomorrow night, too.
So how much are the
But-
park board members paid per meeting?
$25.
25?
But I mean, I think when the ordinance probably went into effect, that's the only board we had.
That's correct, yes.
True, with volunteers on, yeah.
And that board. 'cause I
So
was on that as well.
compensation for parks and recreation, 2 per month, $25.
Ah. Okay.
I'm not, like I said, it's $25. I'm not too worried about that. I am worried though, if every board we have, we start paying members, and it's gonna turn into somewhat significant.
Currently, there's only ordinance to pay this committee and the events committee, which is no longer, so that could be
I'll
struck.
be honest with you, I didn't even know city council members got paid, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know city council members got paid till I got here.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
right.
yeah, so. Okay, so I guess we'll just,
It's a non-issue.
but on the next, we'll just bring it up.
Yeah, I would.
Are you looking for back pay, Scott?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Even if it were passed, I would
Okay,
decline it. But I just think it should be an option.
Okay,
That's
well, we don't have to pass anything, it's already there.
yeah.
We have to make it an option. We have
Yes.
to bring it up.
Mention it in the future, yes. Thank you.
Okay. That's that. Parks and Rec Department report.
All right. So the activity guide came out a couple weeks ago. So I have probably about a dozen registrations for summer programs already, which is awesome. In the report, I just listed some of the new programs that we have coming up. Horseback riding, a variety of sports classes with Hot Shot Sports. And instead of doing the Park and Recreation Month, the Unplugged Day event that we had talked about a while ago, we decided to do a month-long activity just to encourage people to get out. So we're doing poker in the parks. So I'm going to hide oversized playing cards in all the parks, and you have to put together your best poker hand and just send it to me on social media and all of that. So hopefully a lot of people do that. That'll be fun. The pool, we are still set to open June 2nd. I designed some new signage for the pool, just a little updated and a little more obvious where the entrance is and things like that. So I'm excited for everybody to see that. We're working on getting lifeguard training scheduled this week, so hopefully I'll have all of that completed by the next time we meet. And Pool Blue was out at the pool on Thursday last week, starting to get it ready, cleaned, and ready to put water in it soon, so that's exciting. The only other thing that I'm still trying to figure out there is resealing the water slide, because it's looking pretty rough, so we're trying to figure out if we can do it in-house. I've talked to some like boat repair places, and they won't do it on site. We could bring the slide to them, but that's not feasible, so still looking for some options on that. Concession stand is about half stocked already, using money that I had left over from the current budget year, so I'm trying to be really smart about using all of that. For parks, we are fully staffed there. We've had one seasonal staff member start last week, another one starting next week, and then we'll get the rest of them going as they finish school and all of that. For projects, we are currently arranging the repair of the surface of the tennis courts at Northfield. We actually just contracted with Majestic today to fill the very large cracks that are running in every direction across the whole, both courts there. So they will have that done before summer starts.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, because
Yeah.
I did, I had somebody complain to me about it.
Yeah, same.
I had my wife go out there and take some pictures.
It's bad. It's real bad.
Well, but it looks like from the pictures that what we did before is basically just sinking.
Yeah, that's,
If you
The repairs were made before, is that what you're saying?
The repairs were made
Yeah.
before. It's like either they didn't blow them out deep enough and get the crap out of the bottom and put the sealant in deep enough, or, right, or it moved, let's say. But, I mean, I guess the good news is maybe this year they can just seal it up to the top, right?
right.
Just fill it up to the top and
Assuming
eliminate.
it's settled as much as it's going to.
Eliminate the step of tearing the old stuff out, right? Because like I said, from the pictures she sent, and these pictures don't do it justice, I only have a black and white printer at home. But it doesn't look like there's weeds and crap going
No,
through there. It's
yeah.
it just literally just sunk, so.
So something we're also researching is replacing the whole thing with concrete, and then we won't hopefully have that large of a crack as it goes. So we're still just kind of getting estimates and things like that for late summer or early fall.
Concrete?
So,
Asphalt?
no, concrete. And then they have, I don't know what it's called, it's like fuzzy paint, like the tennis courts and things like that, so it has a little bit of padding in it. And then maybe we can put that over and have it look like an actual tennis court. So we're just looking at some options, but for now, we're gonna fill the cracks so that we can use it and not have injuries and not have it be a safety hazard. And then by the time that's ready, then hopefully we'll have another plan for a more permanent fix.
Is there more than one, Stacy, or, I mean,
More
just
than
one,
one.
just that one crack, or is there?
Oh, no,
more?
there's
they're all
many.
over.
It's all
There's
over?
several, and they go all the way across both
Oh,
directions.
jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot, so,
I mean, the good thing is, looking at it and looking at those is it doesn't look like to me that they are moving, if you will, i.e. the two slabs aren't moving, which is good, right? So I do think it just, last time it just settled down to the bottom of the crack or whatever.
So they're not heaving or sinking.
I don't think so. It doesn't look like it.
we did, when me and Lou, city administrator, were out there, we noticed that the concrete that's around the posts and like the lights and the fencing and stuff is much higher than the surface of the tennis court, so that's something that we've got to take care of too, because in the middle of the court underneath the net, it's doing the same thing, because they have posts there too, so that's still a safety hazard, but at least for now we can get the cracks filled and then have a plan ready for end of summer, so.
Well, those courts are more than 20 years old.
Oh, yeah, they're old.
Right, right.
So they've definitely got time out of it.
So's my street.
Yes, I
that
don't think your
works.
street's as cracked as that.
The only other thing I had in my report, I just attached the updated field usage agreement. The language and things, it's the same as what had been in place before. I just added the pricing to it so that it's more obvious for people and we're being transparent. And then I just changed the actual form so that it gives me the information I need from groups so that I can put their reservation into RecDesk, into our software.
Can they do the sign up via rec desk themselves, or do they have to fill out this form?
For like the organized groups, I don't have it set up for that online just because I have had a lot of questions for them in addition to that.
Okay.
It's something I can look into as I learn the process too and know what I
Sure,
need.
sure.
That'll be a lot easier later, so.
Okay. Just love the fact that we can automate where we can.
Right, right.
So, okay.
And then that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, strategic vision, surveys. Now, no. Oh, yes, sorry.
The only thing I have is we have not received OSLAD grant information back yet, so don't know what the status of that is.
Okay.
It's still in limbo. The only other thing I have is the sidewalk entrance at Ratzloff has been completed, so the sidewalk is in place.
About Lions Path.
That I don't believe we've done anything with Lions. Yeah, no updates there. We're waiting feedback from the engineer about cutting out the most western part of the path and then seeing what file numbers are, so we haven't received that back yet.
Is there any idea when that might be coming?
I don't have that, don't know. I hate to hazard a guess, so. Next month?
Next month, sure, why not? Okay, now we'll move on to strategic vision and surveys. Like I said, I was on the phone last time and I wasn't really sure how you guys left this or how this got left from last time. I do know that Stacy did a little something here and took, I think, this and just listed the questions.
Just leave it on.
So the last document that had like the list of questions, I had been looking at the actual document and the presentation that they had done at that meeting and took the questions from there.
So those were, I'll get us there then.
Yeah. Yeah,
There were
so I
the
was looking
questions
at,
out of this workshop, right?
yeah, I was looking at that PDF and just took the questions and,
You just took all of these questions
answer
as they went
options.
down, right?
yeah, except for that one.
I almost feel like, John, to get through this, because, it's been kicked down the road so many times, is just start going through question by question.
Okay. Today?
If that's your pleasure,
I mean, I'm okay with it.
At least get started.
yeah, just work our way through this. Let me get to
Would
the
it be bad to
questions,
jump
so-
to two little places, or should I just make myself a note for when we get to those places?
What's that?
Because I had a question about the weaknesses and stuff, if we could like focus in or expand on that, to be, because some parks are good and some parks aren't as good.
No, that was one of my, let's say, pet peeves about the survey itself, just go to the first question. Please rank the importance of parks system to the quality of life, based on the scale below, right? Well, actually, no, not quite that question. Where's the question here? They talk about strengths and weaknesses, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every park has its own.
Because it doesn't really give us a really good overview of which parks are, faltering. Like, one can be really, really, really good, and one can be like,
Right, and I would even go, a step further and not only break them out by parks, but break them out by activity, let's say, right? I mean, let's, just throw one out there, Park Point, right? The park itself, overall, it's a good size. It's, got some amenities, but as far as the amenities go, right, fishing pier, rate it, right? The playground equipment, rate it. The basketball court, rate, right, something like that, right? And then, I think that would be more helpful than just rate the park system.
yeah.
Right.
And then further for that at the end, I was thinking in regards to rating the park systems, maybe even ask, what do you think is the most important thing about one of these parks that you want to bring attention to, either something positive or something negative, or maybe both positive and negative. So that way we can get a better overview of what actually is,
Yeah, and well, I mean, the other idea I had too was to have the person who's filling out the survey, state which park is their park, let's say, or which park they generally use the most, and that the survey is going to be based on that park. Now, I understand that some people use multiples. I get it, right? But I personally can't, I can comment on the big ones, but the neighborhood ones, I've only been a couple times. And really, it was only because of this committee.
Right.
In fact, I didn't even know where Park Point was. I probably drove around that thing twice looking for it. So,
And I used to live in Park Point, and that's a good example of one that is really just a neighborhood. Half the people even in Park Point, I imagine, don't know what's there. I didn't for a long time.
When we first got our house there, we were actually pointed out to where the whole park was gonna go, as well as, the amenities that the builder was planning to put in. But I would imagine that as more people moved out and other people moved in, that kinda got lost, unless you were a kid and you just,
What amenities were you told were gonna be there?
that there was gonna be a walking path, that there was gonna be a fishing area, that they were hoping to get a fishing pier, that there was hope that there would be a better, playground equipment. At one point, it was supposed to go on Shawnee Lane, in between two different houses where there's that empty lot, in order to block, a through street from being in there. That was one of the things that we were told about might happen. But then it's like, bummer, we're gonna put it all over here, so everything is
by
here.
who?
The lady that used to, I think so. I don't know what her last name was.
Oh, the builder?
Big woman?
Mhm.
Yeah, Denise. I know her.
Oh, okay. But I mean, she was trying to look out for the families, because there were tons of
problem is-
families with little kids there, so that's why we were sold on it.
The developer deeded that over to the city.
Are you talking about this lot right here, where the stub is?
Correct, that's where we were told that at one point they were gonna consider trying to put a kid's playground right there.
Oh,
Were they worried about it going?
so,
So that way it would,
but this, well,
I'm just saying, that's what we were
yeah,
told back in
I can't imagine
2003.
that we would approve that, because that stub is there for, future expansion of this, to the east.
Which
That
would probably
be a
make
connection, right?
sense why the playground went down there.
Right.
Because then I think in the center, it was supposed to be like soccer field or football fields before
Here?
it got planted.
Here, did it
Well, part of the issue
I
here
moved
is,
in in, like,
because Moller
2003,
Creek
I
runs
think.
through here, and all of this area
been a while.
gets really wet.
Right.
Because obviously everything above this is higher elevation, which is why you have this big retention pond. And there's an outlet for that retention pond right here that eventually flows into Moller Creek. So, but in the rainy season, this whole area down here is pretty soppy.
That's where the walking path was.
Yeah.
I don't know if any
You
of
can
it's
kind of
still
see the walking path went around like this.
there. Yeah.
You'd almost have to put that walking path on a berm or something to get it out.
I think last year I took a bunch of pictures before one of the meetings, and I tried to send you some, but I was having issues with the iPad, so I don't know if they ever got to you or not.
I got a couple of them. I don't think I got a bunch of them, yeah. All right, well, anyway, I mean, we got time. I'm for just going through this.
Go through that?
I mean, this is basically that.
Yeah. The question, it is these questions that are part of that. One thing I might put out as a suggestion is, going on your, thing about specific parks, is maybe, we have a list, and I'm not sure if it's in this or in the actual master plan, but it lists all the various amenities in each park.
Yes.
Excuse me. Seems like maybe a question could be, what additional amenities do you want in these specific parks? So that, whoever's answering the survey can say, oh, well, in Park Point, we would like, I don't know, a cookout grill, whatever amenity that they're looking for. Because we tend to, I think, as not only this group, but I think as a city as a whole, tend to focus on the larger parks and thinking about the big amenities that can go in those. But there may be other additional amenities for these neighborhood parks that are relatively low cost that maybe, residents want. But we should give them an opportunity to kind of fill in the blank, like, and Country Brook, is there something else that you want in your park that isn't currently there?
Well, for the most part, from what I've heard, is they just want maintenance. Or they want updated equipment, or, that's, once again, I'm generalizing here, so.
Well, if you took question number one there and broke it down, rather than the park system,
Mhm.
broke it down into whatever, 6 or 7 questions, the same question but for a specific park. So please rank the quality of Milky Way Park.
Yeah, but that's not what the question says. System, the quality of life based on the scale. It's important to the quality of life, not the quality of the park.
Yeah, you're right.
In this particular question, now, I think that does come up later,
Okay.
about the quality of the park, or the quality of the amenities in the park. But not, this particular question is not that.
Yeah, this one's a very broad question.
Yes.
It's trying to get an over feel for the community and how important they feel parks are. Because as you say, some people never use a park, so it's of no value to them, and others use it daily, so it's a huge value to them.
And when I looked at this, I took this and, I actually broke this into A1 and A2, and basically the importance of the park system, on your quality of life, and also then 1A2 would be the quality of the recreation system to your overall life. Quality of life, sorry, overall life. But I mean, I think that's okay to start off with a general big question, right? Then move on to the pool system, or the pool facility. That question is, needs to be changed, because I think it's paid for now, right?
Yeah, so there is no outstanding debt on the aquatic center, so.
Right, so I think you take out the is almost paid for, and just, just leave it at major capital cost, period. Actually, probably should be major maintenance
Expense.
cost. Probably major maintenance costs.
Yeah.
Right,
Maintenance and operational.
right,
It takes a lot to operate it.
yeah.
Just from a survey design standpoint, it's to have, you usually want to have some, like, an odd number of choices, and have a mid-range that's like neutral. And then, like, if you have 5, you have 2 that are, like important, very important, no opinion, and then 2 that are less important. Otherwise, you're skewing it to the important side, because there's only one choice that's not important.
Mhm.
Somewhat important is, well, okay, it's somewhat important, maybe not very important. So does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically it doesn't matter kind of thing, like it's just,
Yeah, just like,
Well, why don't you just
like
do
you
a
could even
scale?
just do,
Why don't you just go
yeah.
scale 1 to 5? 1 is the most important, 5 is the least important.
that's good,
Throw it out there.
that's good.
Mayor, didn't we do a survey like this when Ryan was on?
We did a different survey than this one with Ryan, which I'm not sure where that is, but we have talked about it in, I think, December time.
That was-
Is that in February?
Yeah, I was like, that was the survey that I used to base that like mock one up that I'd sent to you guys. But
Okay.
it was the same questions. And then I had just modified like some of the options or whatever, knowing that it wasn't like the actual survey going out, so.
Okay.
All right, so then taking Lisa's suggestion, that could probably just go right at the beginning, because these are all basically the
Just
same.
make them all 1 through 5 instead of 4.
Current sports organizations, or is this a strength? Do those need to be listed, or does anybody taking the survey should know what those organizations are?
I feel like it'd be important to list them because it'd help us to understand how important to the people who are filling it out for those specific organizations to them. So like in my family, I have no boys, so the boys league was never a league that we played with, but the Hers League and Ladies Sting and so and Junior Hornets soccer, so there were definitely, and even the football because of cheer, but the boys league, which is now Harvard baseball, was just boys at the time, so my family never really participated in that.
Well, and it would be good to have them listed as an information point
Yes.
for people, because they
Yes.
may not know.
Yeah, I think you can still answer the question without them, but I think it'd be nice information. And that's, that was, and the next one, that was definitely what I wanted, with regards to the nearby McHenry County facilities. I don't think anybody knows, or a lot of people don't know, maybe, what those are. And actually what the access is to them. Well, I guess they're right there, but.
Well, I imagine a lot of people don't know about this area up here. Yeah, that's newer. I think most people know about Rush Creek and hopefully Beck's Woods. I mean, that's a nice little park.
It is, but it's
But
just.
if you like fishing, it's a great little park.
Yes, it is.
And I don't believe the Gateway Park is on here, so. But there's not much here to do, but
Yeah,
walk.
take a
I think,
hike.
Take a hike, right?
Yeah.
Nature walk.
Is that one in the upper right-hand corner?
This one, High Point,
No, I've never.
it's like, so Oak Grove Road is how you would get there, so,
It's off of Reese
yeah.
Road is the access between 173, or Oak Grove and Hebron Road.
And all these are open daily?
Yeah, sunrise to sunset. Yeah. And the high
Learning new
point,
things.
the high point is where the highest glaciated point in the state is.
Oh, I've been there, okay. My wife dragged me there, because
Okay.
we wanted to go to the highest point.
Yeah.
Okay, I know exactly where that is. The next question, they talk about park system weaknesses, maintenance. This is definitely where I would split out the parks. And
Yeah, so when this survey was created, recall, it was 10 years ago, and it was before we had passed the referendum, and we were really struggling just to maintain parks. In fact, there were whole areas of parks that we just didn't mow because we just didn't have the funding to do that. I don't believe that's the case anymore. In fact, much of the parks are significantly improved from what they were back then. But I agree with you, it'd be better instead of now an overall park system, maybe let's focus on, what is your maintenance, what do you think of the maintenance of specific parks? Because that will help staff then to kind of hone in on where they need to concentrate efforts.
Well, I think it's not only, visual maintenance, it's maintenance of the equipment. And so maybe, it's out even more, but, it should be broken out.
Have one question per park.
Mhm.
Because otherwise it doesn't really focus in on
Well, it's not-
anything.
yeah, you're
It's
not-
just,
Really, if you don't know, just
You have
put
to
NA, I
guess.
don't know, if you're
Yeah.
taking a survey
Have that as an
and you don't know, you should not comment on something you don't know about.
And I would leave like an option to be able to add like comments. So for instance, let's say you're gonna rate the maintenance of Country Brook. Oh, I think it's a 3 out of 5, right? But then is there a specific thing that you haven't, that you're concerned about? I'm concerned about, I don't know, the basketball hoop is wobbly, whatever, And so that would help identify if there's an issue that we're not aware of, that we can take.
Well, I would,
task.
yeah, and I'll go one step further, Mayor, is that, if we say, just for round numbers, we send out 100 of these, and 75 of them come back without any comments, right? But they say maintenance is weak. But then I get 10 of them where maintenance is weak, and they list stuff. I'm gonna concentrate more on those people that list stuff.
Of course.
Because then I know exactly where the maintenance is weak.
Right, right,
And the other stuff, I'm just guessing.
yes.
Right? So definitely behoove people.
Yeah,
to
so
get
maybe
detail.
where they would say if it's inadequate or very poor,
Mhm.
please, expound upon that. Where is it bad? What is wrong? What maintenance needs work? Because ideally, we want to get that feedback from their perspective, and this particular question doesn't really tell us anything other than their attitude about it.
Next, current park system weaknesses, facilities and activities offered. So this goes right into what you were talking about, Mayor, with what the parks have, right? And, what they lack and what they want.
Should this be broken out into two separate questions, one for facilities and one for activities?
I think so.
Makes sense, yes.
'Cause they're two different,
Mhm.
they're two very different things.
And the activities nowadays are a whole lot different than they were 10 years ago.
Indeed.
Okay, and then, weakness, poor design and appearance. I'm not really sure about this question. Appearance, just don't like where they shoved the park and,
Well, I think this is more about the aesthetics, the lack of landscaping is really, so if you go out to Milky Way, it's just a field, right? There's, which we hope to change with the OSLAD grant with more trees and bushes and things to create some more aesthetic appeal to it. So I think that's really what this question was about, was what could you do differently in our parks to make them more appealing? For instance, in Northfield, they were suggesting adding some wooded area and a more meandering path, where, you had kind of, not necessarily a secluded area, but it breaks it up from being just all field.
It's just like a big lawn.
Yeah.
Is this another question that should be broken out by park?
I think so.
I definitely had that in my notes on this one, divided by parks. Current park system weakness, poor coordination. What's this, the city and volunteer groups? I don't know that this is true, is it? I don't know.
Then it certainly did,
I was
yes.
gonna say, I don't think that's an issue now, is it, Mayor? as far
I
as
don't think so.
communication?
I
Yeah.
think we are light years ahead of where we were 10 years ago. We've done huge amount of improvement.
Well, and wouldn't this be more of a conversation to have with the groups rather than the general community? Because, I mean, most people aren't going to know.
No, probably
Right?
not-for-profit groups, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Ask them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ask those user groups.
And I know from experience, I know that's not the case anymore. I had no issues working with the city ever when I was in the HERS League.
So this is strength.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Turn that over. Witness neighborhood parks. If we break everything out like we're gonna in the preceding stuff, do we even need an actual question like this?
I don't think so, because I think
Right.
you're going to, you're going to be redundant then.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what this question says is gonna be expanded upon and.
The way I see this, because again, when this was done 10 years ago, we were coming from a position of severely under maintained park system. We were really struggling with all the various leagues in the community. We didn't have any programming. We were really trying to get an understanding overall from the community, like, this is what we have, what do you want us to be? And I think we've moved the ball quite a bit down the field. Now it's really about trying to find out more details. This was like kind of big picture, and now we really need to be more honed in on individual parks and areas where the big picture focus, I think, has been accomplished. Now it's the nitty gritty details.
Would be nice to have some question about access, though. I mean, because this is getting at, do people feel like the parks are well distributed in the community so that they're accessible to, their families? Not just parks, parks in general, but neighborhood parks, I think is a little different. I don't know what that question would be, but it's the balance between, putting all the resources into larger parks with more facilities versus having those pocket parks where there's playground, for the kids in the neighborhood, or a basketball court or what have you. So it's two very different things. I mean, kids shouldn't, yeah.
Is the idea of as you say, pocket parks, is that something that's come about in the last 30 years or so? 'Cause I remember as growing up, there was no pocket parks. There was the main facility, and they were scattered throughout the town. I grew up in Palatine. But each neighborhood did not have their own park. It was like each neighborhood had like a Northfield, let's say, right? And that served, at that time, 10 or 15% of the town.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go into a subdivision or whatnot, a group, say, half a dozen blocks or so, and they wouldn't have their own park. So I was just curious, is this idea
I think,
something that's,
I believe based on, way our parks are kind of designed, the only real neighborhood park that isn't part of a subdivision is Mary Air Park. Northfield was our large park until Milky Way came about. So Northfield was the park, right? And Lions Park, Northfield and Lions Park. When the subdivisions started getting built, as part of those subdivisions, I think is when, the thought process is there should be dedicated green space for park within this subdivision.
was
So
it
that's-
because they were kind of satellited out a bit?
I think it's because it was a planned subdivision versus, downtown, second, third, fourth, all these streets are were just kind of block by block built over time. And then when you came in, you had a developer that was gonna do a whole neighborhood itself. That's where the requirement came from, well, you need to have green space. And so as part of that green space came out these neighborhood parks.
Well, in a lot of communities, they would give the developer the choice of paying for the community to provide the parks. It's kind of like with schools, they could pay for that, or they could provide those amenities, and there's often a ratio of, per number, acres per number of new homes.
So that's how you got parks in Shadow Creek, Country Brook, Park Point.
Oak Grove?
Well, Oak Grove does have a play area and a park, but it's owned by the neighborhood association.
Yeah.
It's not a city. But
Yeah, but
same
that's-
idea
that's
was instead of turning it over to the
common.
city, the homeowners association
Yeah.
maintained it. So,
Yeah.
and I think that was the principal idea for all those other subdivision parks, but only Oak Grove Crossing actually took it to heart. So.
Well, and there's also, you look at, like, today, and I'm sensitive to this because I have a sister who's a lot younger than I am, so she has younger kids, and the ability of kids to walk and ride their bike and just go to the parks that are maybe a mile away from the house, they don't do that.
No, I know,
anymore. Someone has to drive them.
Yes.
So having neighborhood parks really is, from a cultural standpoint, today is really important.
Your kids, it was like,
Oh, yeah. I know. Same thing.
Unfortunately, I think in today's society, parents don't let their kids travel as far away from home at a younger age as they did when we were kids. Right? So
Is Turtle Crossing planning on having?
there's no planned park for Turtle Crossing because Northfield is right there.
Yeah, that's true, it's close.
sorry for the sidebar. Okay, let's see, current park system weakness not changing with the times, I don't think that's right. We're doing, since I've been here, we've done a handful of things anyway.
I would scratch that question because
Yeah.
we're covering the same kind of question in other areas here.
Yeah. I agree.
Scratch.
There we go.
Future park system enhancement, indoor recreation center. Had this survey already, but, we need this question, we already had it, or we want it?
My problem with this question is it doesn't deal with the elephant in the room, which is the cost. And who's gonna pay for it?
We know everybody wants it.
We do.
And we had a similar
We know-
question.
yeah, we
in the
know
other
everybody
survey.
wants it.
We had that same question in that survey Ryan did, and everybody wants it, just
Yeah.
how we gonna pay for it?
I think the question needs to be asked, I think generally speaking, the vast majority of the community wants some kind of space. So
4%.
maybe the question is to ask, how much are they willing to pay to have that space?
And I think when Ryan did that survey, that was part of the question, though, like, are you willing for your taxes to increase for, and I think people didn't want it, but they want
There was
it.
something about money in there.
Yes, I think that was something tied together like that. But yes, I think that's a valid point. That's what we need to ask. I mean,
Is the question is,
Well, it's twofold, really,
Get-
because how much you're gonna spend just to build it, and then how much are you willing to spend per month to go?
yes,
and to maintain it. We have to
Yeah.
maintain it once it's done, yeah.
Well, right, that part of the going to month to go.
monthly operational expenses.
So I don't know how you wanna, what we wanna do here with this.
I feel like that could be its own huge survey, like just rec center stuff could be
Well, you
its
can
own.
throw it in, there's a question like the mayor said, right? I mean, it could be two questions, right? I mean, you want a rec center, and are you willing to?
I think you rank this with the assumption that they do want a rec center, and the questions need to be, how much additional property tax are you willing to pay annually? $50, $100, $200, $300, and let them choose. And that gives you an idea on how much people are willing to take out of their pocket to make this happen.
Okay,
And it gives you kind of a gauge.
what'd the pool cost?
I don't know, I wasn't here when it
Well,
was
that's-
built.
But what's our
Well, I mean, what-
current levy? What are we getting?
Oh,
Like, what is it?
we get, well, at the time it was about 100K. I don't know the exact dollar figure now, but it's probably closer to 150 is what we get from the increased referendum. But the overall property tax for the parks, is that in this list here? We had
I
in
don't
there?
have that, I don't know. Might be.
Let's look here. You have the budget in front of you. So you're getting property tax about 275.
Just for parks.
Yes.
But that wasn't all from the pool levy, was it? Or was
No,
it?
no, that's the entire property
Yeah,
tax.
because there
levy.
was that piece that we added, right? When the pool was paid for.
Yes, that's what
That
drove it up
rolled
to
back.
like 275.
Right, so what's that piece of it?
How much
Pool
of it is
piece.
from the referendum?
Yeah, yeah.
At the time, which is getting on a
Okay.
few years ago now, but it was about 100K a year, 150K. So it's probably about half of this-ish of the actual total property tax levy.
I guess where I'm going is if you're asking how much additional are you willing to pay, you have to give them some kind of a reference, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Would you pay an additional $100 a year in property tax? What's that?
That'd be enough.
No,
Yeah, it probably would.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
100, 200.
Yeah.
Again, it's about what kind of rec center do you want? If you want just, a couple of basketball courts inside a building that can also be double as other
You gotta
types of
frame this
space.
right. You gotta
Yeah,
say,
you're-
are you willing to pay an extra penny on the dollar? It's only an extra penny.
Mayor, didn't we get some figures from Ryan about this too?
We did back
I
then. I mean,
what it
we
would
could do
cost
all
to
that
do this.
again, but, generally, I think at the time, when this was done, a very, you're probably talking, they were recommending $5 million for an indoor rec center, which was a little bit more than just a couple of basketball courts, but it's not a field house. Like, you're not going to put a soccer field in that. If you wanted to do that and have a soccer field and basketball courts and all that, you're probably looking at $20+ million. But something that is much more affordable, maybe it is only a $100 increase in property tax.
well, if we wanted to go down that road, I mean, the way I would think you'd want to handle it is you'd want to tell folks, okay, when we put in the pool, this was the increase that people
That's
approved.
what I was looking for.
When
Yeah.
we did the library, this was the increase that people approved. This is what you're, on your tax bill, this is what the average homeowner or, $200,000 home, $300,000 home, whatever, is paying to the city. And put it in context, because anytime you ask somebody how much additional taxes are you willing to pay, they're going to say no. I mean, no one wants to pay more property taxes, but somehow put it in context with what they're already paying to let them know, what, give them an idea of of what they could,
But wouldn't we
Get.
need some type of, we'd have to have something to go off of that, though, like it's gonna cost $20 million to build this rec facility or field house, whatever, right?
Yeah.
This would, then at that point, we'd have some type of, something to go off of what your increase would be, and are you willing to pay for that, right?
Maybe the answer is, hey, to build this rec center, it would cost you this much money
Yes.
in property.
Yes, that's what I'm going.
And that rec center would have 2 basketball
Yes.
courts
Yep.
and a racquetball room and a room to do parties. And if you paid this much more, then
get
we could
this.
add this and this, so
Yes.
your rec center would be this big.
Yes.
And so, because I agree with you, it's very hard for, especially if you're looking at the thing and going, well, what do I get for my $100?
Yes,
Right?
yes. You
What
wanna
am-
tell them
what
what
is,
they get,
what is
yes.
that gonna, what am I getting? Whereas if you said, well, if you're willing to pay $500, man, we could have, this Taj Mahal. Well, obviously, none of us are gonna want that. I mean, we're not quite the community to do that. But I think having a very modest and a little bit more upscale to give you that way, when they go to fill out, they can go, oh, well, if that's what I'm getting, then maybe I would be willing to pay that.
Yes, I think that's how we have to approach that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm almost shocked to admit it, but this last election proved that people are, if given good reason, are willing to vote for higher taxes. Look at what the fire department did.
Yes.
Well, I think to me, it's always been about the tangibleness of what you're paying for, right? So, like anything, well, if it goes in the general fund and disappears, then everybody's like, well, what the hell? But if you give them a tangible, well, if you paid this is what we would get, then they can kind of connect the dots and go, well, if that's what our community would have, then gosh, that would make, things so much better for everyone. So maybe that's the answer of how to put
Yeah.
that.
I like that.
And we could do, we could talk to, engineer or architect to give us kind of ballpark figures, like what can we get for 5 million? What can we get for 10 million? And then what would that property tax equate to the average
Yeah,
home?
when you bond it over
Right.
20 years. And,
Yeah.
20 years, and then at the end of the 20 years, you get them to extend the levy for maintenance.
Yeah, for maintenance, right. Well, and just so you know, one of the other ideas that we've been working on internally is a way to kind of help fund a rec center, not only necessarily build it, but ongoing maintenance and operating cost. And that is, if we had a large enough plot of land where we could quarantine off 5 or 7 acres, that was a dedicated solar field, that we could then sell the energy that would help pay for the maintenance and operation of the facility. So
And
that's
put
a
solar-
real
Put
possibility.
solar on the building.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Future park system enhancements, upgrading neighborhood parks.
This is that part where, maybe asking for what specific amenities, like, you could list the amenities that are in each park, and then, what additional amenities would they want in specific parks?
Yeah, because like if you go to the previous screen, like having them rate, or check off what are the things they would like to see more of in general, and then a question about things at specific parks. Like trails and running tracks. I mean, because that's something that can happen anywhere,
Mhm.
right?
Okay. Future enhancement, improved maintenance, sure, let's Let's do that.
I think that's, again, just scratch that.
Same question.
Everybody wants
Yeah,
better maintenance.
better maintenance.
We want better maintenance.
Yeah. And that's just something we have to continue to build into the budget and do what we've been doing.
Aesthetics, we want that? We want to improve those?
Didn't we cover that?
Yeah, we covered, as a weakness, I think, aesthetics already.
I mean, it
Poor
looks like
design
only
interference.
7% thinks
Yeah, poor design
they're
interference we
acceptable.
had already.
The garden club, John,
What's that?
I think the garden club needs to be doing the park aesthetic
Yeah.
improvements, right?
My wife used to be a member of that.
I know.
She is not anymore, but she, they have all they can do right now with what little they do.
But maybe that's something, I don't know, like I'm thinking of like with the library, some of those enhancement things are what their Diggins Foundation helps with. The the non-essential things, but that make the library better, like in terms of their collections and technology and things like that.
Couldn't you take like these 4 questions, I mean, everybody wants them, right? Everyone wants better stuff. Improve the aesthetics, improve athletic facilities. Yeah, what else? Community watch trail, that's different.
Well, one thing you could do is have them rank them. So what are their priorities, rather than asking them the same set of questions about each one of these things? It's,
Well,
if
right,
there
well,
are
that's
there are
where I was
5
going.
things, it's
That's where I
like,
was
okay, rank them, 1 to 5, what's most important to you?
If you can, if you
Yeah.
can improve stuff, would it be maintenance? Would it be aesthetics? Would it be athletic facilities? Would it be equipment?
Trails,
Um,
right.
If in your park, basically, or in
Or-
whatever park you're talking about.
Or in
'Cause some
the
parks don't have
community,
trails.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just generally in the community, where do they think we should be investing?
Yeah, but once again, it kind of comes back to, where you live. If you don't live in Country Brook, you don't want us to spend a dime over there. Right? I don't know.
Right, well, that's why this I wouldn't make specific to each park. This is sort of the big picture. Like, what should the city parks and rec be focused on? Where should we be putting more of an emphasis on, on improved athletic facilities? I mean, we've already asked them questions about what are the needs in specific parks? Like, what are their ideas? But, should we be, I mean, if it comes back and nobody thinks trails are a big
Yeah.
thing, for instance, then maybe we don't focus on that. If that's not their priority. But if it is, then it's like, okay, we need to move forward with that. Because we can't do everything.
So you're saying you would take maintenance, aesthetics, athletic facilities, and trails, and jump them all into one question and say, rank these?
Rank them.
Rank them, yeah.
Yeah.
What's more important to you, 1 through
Works for
5?
me.
Yeah, exactly.
Future park enhancements, preferred enhancement. Irrespective of costs, which system enhancement, that's kind of what we talked about before, but that was different stuff, I guess. Right, or no?
I think some of these questions are all kind of the same, just worded
Yeah.
differently.
Excuse me. Bless you.
Bless you. I mean,
I think this question is, what do you want? The next one is, what will you pay for? And it,
Yeah, one was, what do you want if you had unlimited money, and then the next one was, well, now that you have to think about money, what's the most important?
I wouldn't even, honestly, I wouldn't even go with unlimited
No.
money, because.
well, I
Why does
think,
that matter?
but we're already gonna ask that though, like, we know we don't have the money and,
That's kind of how it was written, right? So-
it's,
And I think the problem with
Keep
this
dreaming.
one is that it doesn't say what that dollar amount is.
Right.
So people are still saying an indoor rec center, but they don't realize that's gonna cost them
Yeah.
$500 a year on their tax bill.
Right.
Right. Yeah, no, I think we could take those out.
Yeah.
That's that.
And then I think as part of that, you could also include that, this, which is out of the master plan, the list of amenities that are in each park. And we probably need to update this since this was done, because I think we've added a few amenities. I just don't know what page it's on.
The company still who did this for us, they're still around.
Caminos, yeah, they are.
Could we get the writable version of this? I mean, it is ours.
You mean editable?
Yeah.
Well, I think we could take this PDF and break it up to be
Yeah.
editable, so,
You all told me that 8 months ago, and it doesn't,
so, Stacy,
Is
can
that
you,
okay.
yep, get this into an editable, the
the
visioning
master plan?
workshop.
Oh, the visioning workshop
Yeah,
one?
the
Okay.
visioning workshop. This one.
because, yeah, once again, way back when we first started this exercise, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel here. I think a lot of it's here. We just need to
Yeah.
update it.
Yeah.
And, prove it, and whatnot.
Well, congratulations, Chairman.
It only took 8
At your
months.
final meeting, and you accomplished it. We got through it.
Yeah, one of the reasons I asked to leave. Here you go. Yeah. Okay, any new business?
I have none.
Next meeting, May 19th.
Maybe.
Motion to adjourn? Why not?
Oh, just because there'll be new people on the committee, and this may not be a good
Oh, some of us won't be
night
here.
for them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The new chairman can decide.
I think this, meeting is kind of set on Monday,
Always
although
been.
it's usually the third Monday, not the fourth Monday, right?
This is the third Monday.
Is it?
It is, but the fourth Tuesday happens to be the day after the
That's
third
what
Monday.
it is, yeah.
Right.
But I
Because
think,
the first Tuesday was the first.
but if you had a new committee member who had another commitment
Right.
on this night, you'd have to change it.
Or just change the committee member.
There you go.
That may be easier.
Oh, they're all full, so, yeah. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Lori?
All in favor?
Aye.
that was a quick motion.